here. Deborah is my name. I'm an ex-housemaid of Saudi Arabia. I create awareness on what happens in the Middle East. So if you are new here, just feel most welcome. This is the right place to be. Just trying to adjust this. I just want to talk about kids. We have seen many ladies having kids in Saudi Arabia or in Gulf countries, and then you wonder how comes they're having kids and they went to work. It's possible, though prostitution is prohibited in Gulf. Prostitution is prohibited in Gulf. So there are many ways, or there are many reasons that may make somebody to have a baby in Gulf. I'm going to share 5 reasons why maids can end up having babies and what happens after now you've gotten the baby. What happens? Number one, I just want to give one main reason most of the maids have kids is that there's no proper medical checkup. This one is done by agencies. Some agencies, they fail maids. They don't take you for test, for medical test. They assume you are right, or they want to keep money to themselves, and then they send someone who has not been tested if their pregnancy is negative or positive, if they're pregnant or not. They just decide to get you a ticket. They get you a fake medical letter, and then they give you go. Maybe you find yourself you're 1 month pregnant, 2 months pregnant, 3 months pregnant, and nobody knows. Maybe people finish their training, they go home, they wait for their day to travel. So once you are given that time comes, you're given a ticket, no medical test, you travel. Some people have gotten themselves in such problems. They go there, they end up giving birth in their bosses' houses. Some end up giving birth in the offices, and then getting back to home is hard because sometimes when you go with your boss, maybe or from the office, they take you to give birth in the hospital. Sometimes you don't have a birth certificate. Getting a birth certificate in Gulf is not easy. So sometimes you find other people leaving their kids there. Some are forced to leave their kids there because they don't have proper documentation. Maybe they don't have their birth certificate and they don't have marriage certificate. Maybe your profile was reading single, and then when you went there, you have a baby, they want to see the marriage certificate, they want to see a consent from your husband, so it becomes hard. So some ladies end up leaving their kids there because they will be charged of child trafficking. So no proper medical test is one of the reasons that make ladies end up having kids in Gulf, because of the agencies had failed them. Another reason these people decide to become surrogate mothers. Surrogate mothers, in that your employer requests you to carry a baby for them. This has happened to many ladies. I know 2 ladies who have done this. There is one who was having only male kids at home, and her boss had only girls, and they requested her. She gave birth on their behalf 3 baby boys. So there are some maids who are convinced by their employers to become surrogate mothers. So they end up giving birth on their behalf, and then they are paid for that. So those things, they do happen, even though nobody will come publicly and say, but some who are willing, they just share it out, like they see there's no big deal. They share out. So that is another reason why maids get babies once they reach in Gulf. Another reason, rape cases. You find some maids are being raped, maybe by the boss, their sons, the son of their bosses, and then they end up becoming pregnant. So they have no option. Others, they end up giving birth. You give birth, you are sent back home to your country, you leave the baby behind. If it happens that your boss has raped you or their son, you will leave the baby behind. That is what happens. You don't go with their baby, you leave the baby behind. So sometimes it happens like that, and then in some cases you find if the boss, if the madam of the house realizes that you're pregnant of her husband or the son, they might even end up poisoning you. Or they wait, those with hearts, they will wait, you give birth, you leave the baby, you go back to your country. So that is what will happen if it has happened in case of rape. So because some people are raped and they end up becoming pregnant. Another reason is that people who run out of the contract, they're called boys and dalalas. Maybe they're outside there, you get your boyfriend, people get involve themselves into sexual activities, and they end up becoming pregnant. So these ones, they give birth to kids. They give birth to kids very well, and then maybe they don't have proper documentation. Some of them leave those kids in Saudi Arabia, maybe, or any Gulf country where they are, because they don't have proper documentation. So those kids, they remain there. People, some bring their kids home. If their husband, maybe they have given birth by somebody who is from their country, maybe they process documentation like this is my child, and it is not easy. You have to take DNA test to prove that this is your child and it's not child trafficking. So when it happens like that, there are some, you can see people coming home with kids. Those kids, they have proper documentation. They have to do a DNA test to confirm that this is your child, you have not stolen this child, and then you go home. So, but getting home with the kids from Gulf is not easy. There's a procedure. There's a process that you need to follow. You have to confirm that this child is mine through DNA test. And then there is another reason why people get kids. There are people who do it willingly. Maybe some bosses, they can lie to you, they are going to marry you. Their sons can lie to you, they are going to marry you, and then you accept. Maybe there are some bosses who have kids who are able differently, and then they convince you to give birth, to engage with them, and then you give birth. There are some people who willingly do it. You can just give birth, but you will not live with the baby. You just leave the baby behind. You get paid and you go back to your country. So these are some of the reasons why maids end up having kids. And from what we have discussed, you can see where people lies. So some went there while pregnant. They were not done a proper medical checkup. Others were raped while at work. Others did it willingly. Others were surrogate mothers who decided, like, let's do this for my boss. And others maybe ran away and found husbands outside the contract and were able to give birth. But all in all, you're going to go back to your country with a child without proper documentation. You must do a DNA test to prove that the baby is yours. I think this is important because it is going to show some light. So maybe you have gotten yourself, you've traveled to the Middle East while pregnant. Just know in mind that you must do a DNA test to prove that the baby is yours. And if you are married, your husband has to send a marriage certificate. You must have documents showing that you are married. So guys, I think this is the best way. I'm going to share some of the information people don't know. If you like this video, you can just give it a thumbs up. You can share it. Let's create awareness and make this world a better place for everyone. Thank you.